Hey guys, welcome to another episode of A Cup of Positivity. We're still in March, which is our Inspirational Women theme of the month. This week, I'm really proud to have Sarah Poynton on the show. Sarah is a property investor, entrepreneur, and mentor. She's actually my personal mentor and a big inspiration to me, so I'm really happy to finally have her on. I originally had her saved in my mind as a guest that I wanted to interview in person, but lockdown just hadn't allowed for that now, so I thought it was only right to interview her during this month's theme. Sarah tells me all about her experience within the property industry, how she went from £60,000 in debt to debt-free in 23 months, and why she chose to not only become a property investor, but also to mentor people to do the same. Sarah has a diverse property portfolio, runs an education company, and also contributes to social housing in the UK by helping to house people in difficult situations and, in some instances, people without homes at all. So she's what I see as an all-round successful woman in business, and I hope you enjoy hearing her interview. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share, and see you soon. Hey Sarah, welcome to A Cup of Positivity. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm good. I'm excited to have you on, my mentor.
Excited to be here.
Finally, I know that I had you booked for like the in-person ones, and lockdown's just not allowing me. So
lockdown's not acceptable.
We'll just have to do another one when we're allowed.
Yes.
I've got my Twining strawberry and raspberry tea with me.
Good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice mug.
Branded, on point.
On point.
Mine
isn't branded. Mine just says, I can't adult today.
The thing is, I feel like you're just always on point anyway, so I don't believe that mug.
I can adult most of the time when I need to.
Yeah.
I just pretend like I can't.
Exactly. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know you, do you want to just tell us who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Poynton. I have known Martha. How long have we known each other now?
5 years.
5 years, something like that. I'm a property investor by trade. I suppose that's what we'd say. That's kind of what I spend most of my time doing: buying, selling houses, renting houses, renovating houses, letting houses, that sort of stuff. I also am a firm believer in multiple streams of income. So I have other businesses as well. So I've got an education company that helps people get started investing in property. I've got income from a buy-to-let portfolio. I've got income from investing in various different like funds and crypto and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, all round, I'm generally in business, multiple streams of income, and that's kind of how I spend my life.
Yeah. So what did you do before property investing?
So I had a business before property investing. I ran a photo booth company called Point and Shoot, which I thought was quite clever.
Yeah.
And I started that in 2012. I didn't do a very good job running it. I made every mistake you could possibly make in business. I did everything that you shouldn't do. I learned every way not to run a company. And before that, I was in recruitment. So I spent time finding people jobs, basically permanent and temporary jobs.
So then why property? Like, why did you move from doing the photo booth stuff to this?
I wish I could say I was like passionate about property, but the truth is I needed to make some money and I needed to do it fast. I was in about 60 grand of debt at that point, mainly because I've just made bad choices in my business and a bit in my personal life as well. I've kind of not always done the right things with money. My money mindset wasn't good. My relationship with money wasn't good. And so I didn't make great choices. And when I got married in 2015, we went away for a week in Colchester for our honeymoon because that's literally all we could afford. And I don't know, I think most people when they get married, I don't know, I mean, I've only done it once so far, but I think most people when they get married and they go away on a honeymoon, they start thinking about like what's next in their life. And we did that. And we talked about, you know, should we have a baby? Should we buy a house? Should we go traveling? Like, what should we do? And everything just came back to, I'd love to, but we've got no money. And in that week away, I just decided that wasn't going to be my life anymore. Like I worked hard. but I just needed to figure out how to do business better. And so, yeah, I came back from that. That was like the October. I got help and like started to learn how to get started. And then in the December, I did my first deal, and then it kind of just went from there.
Yeah. But then what was your first like property investment? Where did you start if you had no money as well?
So I did a thing called rent to rent, which for those people that don't know, it's where you basically don't own a house, but you control it. You become a tenant and then you sublet is the easiest way to explain it. And so there was a flat that was on the market on a website called Purple Bricks in Milton Keynes. And I managed to get hold of the guy that owned it. And I phoned him and I just said, look, I want to become your tenant, but I want permission to be able to rent it out to clients of mine. And in Milton Keynes, we had all different types of clients. So we had like just standard tenants. We had, it's a big corporate head office centre, Milton Keynes. So we had all different people looking for places to stay.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I don't know how I got him to say yes, but he did. And we agreed to pay him £925 a month rent. And then we rent all the rooms out for 500 plus a month. And so we kept the difference. So that was like my first deal. I still have that now. I've still got that flat. In fact, we just renewed it on another 2-year agreement. So that will be like into the 7th year. And then in the January of like 2016, I discovered a thing called deal packaging, which is basically portfolio building for other people. So my main business actually then kind of came from that, where I started to build property portfolios for other people. Because I didn't have any money of my own, I wanted to do it and I wanted to learn it. And so I did that by doing it for other people, and they just paid me like a fee, a salary to do that. And once I'd got enough money in the bank, I started to then invest in my own stuff, and it kind of went from there.
Yeah, because you say you came from recruitment. So although you didn't have the money to do the deals, you had the sales. You were sales savvy, basically. So yeah, negotiating.
I've been in sales since I was like 15.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to like buy things in the like shop at school, or the tuck shop, or the canteen. And then I'd sell them at like afternoon break for slightly more, because the tuck shop wasn't open in afternoon break. Like, so I used to like, I've always wanted to make money. I've always enjoyed the process of buying something this price and selling it for this price. I've done all sorts of crazy schemes. Like I've like bought stuff online and sold it on car boots and all sorts of things. But yeah, I've always been business minded, I suppose. But there's more to running a business than the sales bit. And I think I was good at sales, but I wasn't great at running businesses until like now I'm learning how to do that better.
Yeah. So then when you started to do like really well and everything was propelling, what made you then start your mentoring business or your education business?
So sort of July 2017 time, I had a month where, so I used to like catch up with my mentors at the time often, and I'd billed no money this particular month. And he said, why? Like, you're a biller, like I am a biller, like if I can bill money. That's kind of what I've been ingrained to do. And this particular month, I had billed no money, and all my bills needed paying still, my team needed paying. So there's quite a lot of overhead to running business, right? So if you don't bill any money, that's got to come from somewhere. And I was in like absolute dire start. I was like broken. I thought I was failing business again. I thought I was going back to where I'd been in my last business. And I had a bit of a meltdown, a little bit of a cry on him. And he said to me, well, what have you been doing like with your time? Because it's not like you to not be billing. So what's happened? And we broke it down. And basically I'd spent so much time like having coffee with people to help them in their business, because they wanted to pick my brains. How did I do this? Yeah. How did I do that? I'd basically spent the whole month working on other people's businesses, and something has to give, right? So you can't be in two places at once. So he basically said to me, either you need to stop doing that, or you need to start charging for your time. And so I did. My first ever like one-to-one client paid me £50 for the day, and they came and hung out with me for a whole day. And I bought lunch and coffee, so I'm pretty sure I ran it at a loss, that particular like client. But it kind of came from there, and I realised that One of the things I'm good at is helping other people feel confident that they can and that they're enough. And so I really took quite a lot of satisfaction out of seeing people evolve. And so it kind of just went from there.
But in general, would you say that being a woman in the property industry, or even maybe, I know you don't like the word, but the coaching industry is quite difficult?
Define difficult.
I mean, do you feel like being a woman in property is you're competing against a lot of men? Like, do men have a lot of opinions about what you do?
Yeah, loads. So I think if I could tell you like a couple of experiences that I've had being a woman in business and in property, I think one of the most like entertaining of mine is I was dealing with an investor, a very, very super high net worth guy. He was interesting anyway, because I am what I am. There is no fluff to me. Like, I probably swear a bit too much. I probably, like, I will go into a meeting in jeans and trainers and a cap to talk about a multi-million-pound deal. Like, that's just me, right? So when you're speaking to certain people, some people like you to switch on a certain persona when you're talking to them. Like, and I just don't have that in me. Like, I am who I am. So I was talking to this guy, and I was asking him lots of questions because he was an overseas investor as well. And so there's a lot more due diligence you have to do, like legally and stuff. And he basically said to me, listen, it's all great you asking all these questions, but when is your boss getting on the call?
Wow.
And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, it's great that you're doing all these questions, but like, I want to speak to the boss man because I haven't got time for this. And it was the phrase boss man that really, like, if it was boss, I've clearly just done something wrong to communicate wrong. But in my mind, the words boss man meant to me or said to me, he doesn't think I'm credible enough to be having this conversation because I'm a girl. And I was like, oh, hold on 2 seconds. Let me go and get them. Now I have got no ability. I've got no filter, right? So I got up off of the call and I came back and I sat back down and I went, I'm here. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I am the boss and this is my business. And if you don't want to work with me, then we might as well not bother. I never worked with him because he wasn't my kind of vibe. So things like that have definitely happened. Not all men are like that though. Not all men have the superiority complex that some do. And I've worked with some of the most incredible men in this industry. To a certain degree, I think being a girl has definitely worked in my favor sometimes, like totally, I can't deny that. And then sometimes it's worked against me, but I feel like, yes, I'm in a very male dominated environment. I come from a long line of very strong women. And so actually I think that's probably ingrained in me to be, I'm the only girl in a family of boys in my like generation. My cousins, my brothers, they're all boys. So I'm kind of used to it. I don't know if I'm just not really that fazed by it. However, there's a lot of men in our industry that just work very fundamentally different to me because of the way that women think and the way that men think. You know, that there's not a right or a wrong, but I think sometimes men can be a little bit more aggressive in their tactics, whereas maybe women are more considered in their tactics, is my experience. It's not a sweeping statement all the time, but it's definitely something I've experienced.
Yeah. And in general as well, because I know that at the beginning of your journey, you did a lot of your marketing through social media, specifically Facebook. So have you had like experiences of being trolled online as well?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
Now how I deal with it is with just kind of a shrug of the shoulders. The first time it happened to me, it broke me. It made me really sad. I was trolled by women, interestingly.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, especially women, like if it makes you feel better to pull down another woman, then there's something fundamentally broken in you. You know, women, you know, men and women should be supporting each other. We should all be out there fighting for the success of everybody because collectively we can achieve more. But, you know, being trolled online, the first time I was ever trolled online, it really did break me. And it was because of things like they went very personal. I don't mind being trolled online for a mistake I've made in business because I'll own it. Like, yeah, I don't get it right all of the time. But to be trolled online about my weight and about my personal relationships and about like shit that's not even true. You know, I was someone on Facebook sent my husband a message accusing me of having an affair with someone else that I was working with, which I absolutely wasn't. I mean, my husband's cool. He's like, this is just ridiculous. There's no way. But it was because they were part of this group of people that were trolling me. And like that, I don't understand why people haven't got more to do with their time. But yeah, being trolled online is a big part of being successful, unfortunately, these days, because if you live a visible life, people think you're fair game. I think sometimes people forget there's a human being at the end of every business. And that's something that over the last 5 years, I've definitely had to learn, is that other people don't always get that. It's made me kinder though, because I remember there's a human being at the other end of everything. So when I do anything or action anything or be vocal about something, I try to remember that that's not just a business. There is a person at the other end. And I think the more we could remember that, the world needs more of that.
Yeah. The thing is, it never even occurs to me, like if I'm looking at something online or someone's profile or whatever, and they're posting something that I don't like, I would just consider unfollowing or just not say anything, like just keep moving. Yeah. Like I would never just be like, oh, blah, 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 like to that person. I don't even understand where that comes from.
I think it comes from a deep-rooted unhappiness. A need to reflect your opinions on other people. You know, it's okay that we don't all agree, and it's okay that we don't always do the same things, because it takes all sorts to make the world go round, right? But I think it comes from a place of anger and hurt, and actually I just feel sorry for people like that.
Yeah. What about your relationships, like your close relationships, as you became more successful? Were they affected as well?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a few casualties, if I'm really honest. Most of my friends, like most of them, have been really supportive and continue to be incredibly supportive all of the time and very understanding. I have not always handled myself in the most gracious way, and I've definitely made mistakes along the way that I've gone back to rectify as best I could. You know, again, we're all human and we don't always do the right thing. So yeah, I missed my like best friend's baby shower because I was putting on an event. I was in an event in London, and that wasn't the right choice. Like now, 3-4 years on, I'm devastated that I wasn't there for that day. But at the time, in the moment, I was so dedicated to being successful, and I really wanted to push things forward. I was doing whatever it takes, but that wasn't the right choice. And, you know, sometimes you can look back and think, I wish I'd handled that differently. And I do in some circumstances. Sometimes I look back and think, no, they were just being a knob. And actually, like, I did the best I could with what I had. But yeah, I think my relationships with some people have really changed. I think I attract different people into my life now because I've fundamentally changed as a person. I am more driven. The more successful I become, the more successful I want to be. I believe that success is more than money. I think there's a lot more to it than that. It's the vibe of how I feel when I wake up every day has changed to what it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But yeah, to come back to the question, my relationships have changed with a lot of people. There's definitely been casualties, some my own fault for not behaving graciously, and some contributing factors from other places. But yeah, it's hard. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah. I know you said in that specific example, maybe you wouldn't have made that decision, but do you not think that those kind of tough decisions are what separates you from someone who maybe their business isn't working?
I think tough decisions is definitely a part of creating success. Like we are a compounded consequence of the choices we make every day leading up to today, right? And what we have right now today is based on the choices we've made up to today. I think to a degree, yeah, your ability to be decisive in business and in life is definitely what will set you aside from other people in the world. But I think when your loyalty is dislodged by money, I think fundamentally that's a problem within the person. And on that particular occasion, my loyalty should have been with my friend. My loyalty is with my friend. My loyalty isn't with money. And I was swept up in a moment, and I didn't make the right choice in that situation. But I mean, she totally forgave me, and she's like, we're best mates still. We always will be forever. But there's definitely been times where, like other times, where I've not been the most gracious of humans, and I probably could have handled things differently, but some of those things have not, you know, you can't always get it right.
Yeah. And in terms of like being a successful woman, let's talk about financial success specifically.
Okay.
Do you think that women are more like conditioned to be a bit more reserved about money, or more importantly about the amount of money that they make? Like, do you feel like the more successful you are financially, the more you're a bit like, oh, I don't really want to brag about it? Like, it's seen as bragging. Whereas a lot of the guys that I follow online that are financially successful are very open about it.
I think, I'm not sure this is necessarily a male and female thing. There's definitely, if I think about the women in my life who are financially successful, like, and I mean, more financially successful than me, there's a mixture of them. Some of them shout from the rooftops and are rolling around in Bentleys and, you know, have got Prada only, and, you know, and they're those people, and that's fine. That's right for them. But then I've got also like super wealthy friends, like mega wealthy, who drive around in a beat up Megane, and, you know, you'd never know they had money, but in their bank, they've got a lot of money. So I think some people are just built to be vocal, and other people are built to be, less so.
Yeah.
I think financial success and money particularly just amplifies what's already there, right?
Okay.
If you are inherently, am I allowed to swear?
If you feel it's necessary.
If you are inherently a prick, right? If you are inherently a bad human being and you're built like that, money will just make you more of a prick. If you are fundamentally a good person and your vibe is to contribute good energy to the world, then having money will allow you to do that more.
Yeah.
So some people, again, some people think that being flashy is showing off. Other people think being flashy is like a way of keeping score. Other people think being flashy is just what makes them feel good and makes them feel like them. And so I don't think there should ever be any judgment around that. To come back to the question of, do I think that women are less shouty about success than men? I think sometimes women judge success differently to men. And I mean, I'm a woman without children. And so I know a lot of my friends who do have children, their success is being able to provide a life and a lifestyle and food and all the other things that go with that. Being a woman without children, actually, I don't have that layer of, I need to look after other people. So actually for me, my shouting of success is about whether I can provide for the future version of my life. And I think like men and women definitely consider success differently. Definitely. Whether they, I'm not sure whether because we're women, we don't do it as much. Then I'm not sure that's the case. I think it just depends on how you've been brought up and what your relationship with money and success actually is inbuilt in you. If you're not built to handle money, if your relationship with success is, I'm not worthy, I'm not like enough, I'm not capable, I don't deserve it, then it doesn't matter how successful you'll be, you'll sabotage it. And I think men don't struggle with that as much as women. I think women are harder on themselves than a lot of men. But again, I don't want men to listen to this and think that I don't think some men struggle with that, because they definitely do.
Yeah.
I think it's not necessarily a male and female thing. I think it's just how we are, whether we believe the bullshit story that we tell ourselves, because we are all enough, we are all capable, and we all absolutely can. You just have to choose it and mean it, and anything's possible.
Yeah. But then how did you educate yourself on like money mindset and business and things like that along the way?
I surrounded myself with people that had more money than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I surrounded myself with people that, it was when I like people that if I went shopping with them, for example, thought nothing of spending like, or like, for example, like booking a holiday, thought nothing of spending 40 grand on a holiday. Like for me, I mean, even now, that's a lot of money to spend on like a holiday. But putting yourself in a room full of people, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? That's kind of proven. So if in a room of people, you're the person that has the least money, the least experience, the least success, you are only going to be able to propel yourself because you can't help but absorb that energy. And so I surrounded myself with people that were more successful than I was. I asked for help from people that were more successful than I was. And I continue to do that. You know, I invest a lot of money into my own education, into my own networking, into my own, like, the therapy of the inner brain of me as well. I spend a lot of money on that. And yet I'm in a position now that I can. But even when I didn't have any money, I put a big percentage of what I could get my hands on towards that, because I think unless you deal with what's up here and in here, it doesn't matter what else happens. You've got to be able to handle it.
And what would you say have been your biggest achievements to date?
I think becoming debt-free in 23 months from starting my business is something I'm and will always be incredibly proud of. You know, it took me like 10 years to get into the debt in the first place. To be able to clear it in 23 months was pretty cool. Some people might not see this as an achievement for me, but I was able to like fly my mum to New York for her birthday a couple of years ago. And I like booked the trip and I was able to pay for it. And I think for me, being able to just buy that without putting it on a credit card, without to pay it down in pieces, like I could just do it, felt amazing for me. It felt amazing for me to see her feel like that. I mean, I live in that, like, my dream house. I moved here a year ago. That's quite a big achievement for me. Actually, I guess the things I'm most proud of are, like, we do a lot of work within like the social housing space, and you know, in a couple of months ago there was a guy who was living in a tent behind a vape shop in Milton Keynes, and the way we run our business allows us to help people come out of living in a tent and into living in a home. And for me, being able to see the face of a man who's been sleeping in a tent for 6 months just say thank you for handing him a house key, that for me feels incredible. Like, it makes me emotional talking about it, because I feel like you know, money's a thing that drives the world, right? It's an energy that you have to have it because we've all got to eat, right? We've got to pay our bills and things like that. But whether you've got money or not got money, I think it's important to remember that the world is not just about money. And if we can do good things and contribute good energy into the world and make it commercially viable so that we can also eat, then I feel like that's what more of us should do. If there was more of that in the world, then we'd all be helping each other a little bit more. And so for me, I'm really proud of the fact that I can do things like that now. And it's my business and the success in my business that allows me to do that, because when I had nothing, I wouldn't have been able to do that. You know, when I had nothing, I was obsessed with money, and I didn't have any. And now I'm not obsessed with money. I think we get paid as a consequence of doing a good job. So yeah, I'm really proud of those sorts of things. I mean, I've got a long list of things, like I'm in Forbes magazine, for example, like things like that blow my little brain up. Like, I can't believe that things like that have happened to me. You know, and I'll continue to be just proud of the fact that I contribute good shit to the world, and you know, yeah.
So, and what would you say have been your biggest struggles or your biggest lessons?
There's been loads, so many. My biggest struggles, I think I haven't always made the right choices. In business, in my personal life, I haven't always like thought things through. I definitely have jumped into business too quickly with people that I didn't really know, and I think that's something in my industry, especially like property, people do like jump into joint ventures really fast because they want to do the deal and they want to do things quickly, and they don't necessarily do their due diligence on the person or whether they align ethically or morally with that person. I think that's something that most people learn in our industry, that you shouldn't really do that, but you don't learn it till you've done it. I think for me, there's the biggest struggle for me was finding the balance between being, sorry about my dog snoring. It is finding the balance between doing whatever it takes and letting a business completely consume me. So in like 2017, kind of the end of 2017, my personal life suffered quite a lot because I'd gone so heavily into the business. And when I say my personal life, my weight was going up. I didn't feel healthy. I was heavy. I wasn't training. My marriage wasn't in a great place. My relationships with my friends weren't in a great place. I wasn't seeing anyone, like, because I was like at my desk at 6 a.m. and I was at my desk till 11 p.m. And I mean, money, I had more money than I'd ever had, but I had no life at all. And I think the struggle I had is that it had been kind of ingrained in me that you get out of life what you put in. So if you put in all the effort you can, you'll get everything that you want. But what I had no one really to tell me then is that unless you are okay, your business will not be okay. Like you fundamentally, the human behind the business needs to be okay. I think my biggest struggle has been in finding the balance of those things. I don't think work-life balance exists. I'm not sure it's a thing, but I think there must be a balance where you are eating properly and you are sleeping properly and you are not taking on too much. You're not saying yes to everything just because you feel like you should. And I think that learning how to say no to things is one, when you learn how to say no to things, when you can eventually get to that point. It takes a while for most people, but when you can, I think that's a women and men thing. There's definitely a difference. Women tend to say yes to everything. Men get to saying no quicker, I find, in my experience. It's like transforming, because unless you actually want to do it, you don't do it. For me, if I do something that I don't want to do, I don't do it very well. So I think the biggest struggle for me was learning how to be confident enough that it's okay to say no to things. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay it's not going to completely like trash my reputation or trash my business if I don't say yes to everything all of the time. And when I did that and I learned how to do that, my balance, whilst it's never fully balanced, my balance is way better now, and my personal life is better. I feel happier in my head. Like all of it changes.
So then if you could go back in time, would you do anything differently?
It's a really difficult question, because everything that's led up to this point has created the version of me that I am today, right? You know, even going back to like when I was a kid, I had a bit of like a pretty turbulent, like growing up, my teenage years, like it was all pretty turbulent for me. And I've had like a lifetime of not feeling like I'm enough. Like that definitely is ingrained in me. And so, you know, you can either in life, you can say, I'm going to be a victim to the things that have happened to me, and so that's that. Or you can say, thanks very much for all of those things that have happened to me, because it's created who I am today. And I'm proud of the woman I am today. I like the woman that I am today. I'd be friends with me. Like I like me. And, you know, 10 years ago, I didn't particularly like who I was. 20 years ago, I didn't particularly like who I was. But now I've kind of grown up a bit and grown into me. I know what I'm about. I know who I am. I know what I will and won't do. And so I don't think I have any regrets. And I don't think I'd necessarily change anything, because without those experiences, I wouldn't be the version of me that I am today. And I quite like the version of me that I am today.
Yeah, I like her too.
That's good.
So what advice would you give to anyone who maybe has an idea, or they want to start their own business, but they just have no idea where to start or what to do first?
So what advice would I give to somebody who has an idea but isn't sure where to start? So I think if you do the research first, right? So if your business is, you're going to be launching like chocolate teapots, then I'm going to say the research is going to show you that there's no market for that, right? The research will show you. If you do research and there's even a slight inkling that it makes sense, then explore the opportunity. I think you should explore every opportunity that presents itself. Don't say yes to everything, but explore everything.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to, I guess, reinforce to every woman listening to this, every man listening to this as well, but from a female perspective, if the only reason that you're not doing something is because you're not sure if you're enough, if you're capable, if it will work, etc., that's not a good enough reason to not do it. Because if you have an idea and it serves and solves for other people, then you have a responsibility to bring that to the world, because you may actually change someone's life for the better. Whatever it is, whether it's property or business or coaching or a product, you know, whatever it is. You know, the guy that invented Post-it notes changed the world. Yeah. It was an idea that someone could have gone, oh, that's a silly idea, but they ran with it and it worked, right? And I think it's really important to remember that most of the time, the things that get in our way are ourselves. It's up here. So if you're sitting thinking, I've got this idea, but actually people will laugh at me, or, you know, I've been told my whole life that I can never amount to anything, like I was at school. You know, I've been told my whole life that I'll always be just this, or you're just that, or I'm just someone's PA, or whatever, like this sort of stuff. Fuck that. Do it. Go out and fight for what you want for your life, because we all have choices. You can choose to risk it and let it work, or you can choose to ignore it and it definitely will never work. So why not choose to risk it? Because it could just as easily go right as it could go wrong.
Yeah, I like that advice. I feel like I need to listen to you more.
Ultimately, you know, yeah, it might go wrong. But if it goes wrong, are you any worse off than where you are today? If you never ever try, if you never step outside of what's comfortable, if you never bring your idea to the world, you know, there are people out there who have got ideas that will change the world, and those ideas will never come to the surface because the person behind them feels like they're not enough, or they haven't got the help or the advice or the space or whatever it is. Bring that shit to the surface and just give it a shot and ask for help. Nobody's out here knowing how to do everything. No one's expecting you to know how to do everything. I asked my mentors for help. Get a mentor, get somebody to guide you, get a friend to just check in with, like whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But try. Because you can, you're enough, you're capable, but it's got to come from you.
So what's your vision now for the future?
So lots of different things. There's lots of little projects bubbling. So I'm in the middle of a master's degree at the moment. So that I want to graduate with my master's. We've got a goal of creating 250 homes in 10 years. So we're looking at moving into developments from that perspective, like building homes, new homes. The education company, I've got loads of ideas around this. And for me, seeing people evolve into really successful business people under my watch is like a passion of mine, and I love it. I think, you know, in terms of like my financial stability and all that sort of stuff, I'm diversifying my portfolio now into things like funds and other bits and pieces, because I think it's important that you do that. But for me, I think for the next sort of 5 years at least, it will be around buying assets, creating my financial safety for the rest of my life. I'd like to be mortgage free on my own home by the time I'm 40. So I've got a couple of years to do that. So I've got some work to do. But yeah, I think in terms of like what I want to contribute to the world, I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of work with men and women mainly, but I do work with men as well to help them to feel more confident about pushing forwards and achieving whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And so my ambition is that I can continue to do that and help people to change their world. Yeah.
So how can people connect with you following this podcast?
So various different ways. Instagram, I am Sarah Poynton on Instagram. TikTok, Sarah Poynton, Facebook, Sarah Poynton, or Sarah Poynton Ryan. I have 2 accounts, so either or. Or if you just want to like email me, then do you want to put my email in the like?
I'll put it all in the bio. Not in the bio, in the caption.
In the caption. You can email me or whatever. Just connect. However, I love to speak to people. But if you message me, if you DM me, put Cup of Positivity in the message, so I know that's where you found me, and I can make prioritize your response.
Yeah, and you've had like some quick fame on TikTok as well.
My God, I'm so excited about it. I think my phone's over here, right? I've put up like 3 videos in the last week, and I've had like 380,000 views on one. I've got all of a sudden 2,000 followers. I'm very excited about it. Yeah. It's doing way better than my Instagram's doing. So I'm going to be doing more of that.
Good. And then I always finish off my interviews with, if our viewers or our listeners could take away one golden nugget from this interview, what would you want it to be?
I think my golden nugget that I would want people to take away from listening to this interview is that we all have a choice, and you can either allow your past to stop you and control you, or you can allow your past to drive you forwards and create an energy in you that's unstoppable. Everybody has the ability to turn whatever their idea is into something tangible if they choose it and they actually mean it. Mm-hmm. But you've got to mean it. If you don't mean it, other things are going to get in the way. You're going to choose Netflix over creating social media content, or you're going to choose, like sitting down eating pizza and watching EastEnders over booking that meeting, doing that Zoom call, whatever it is. If you choose it, then mean it. And honestly, anything is possible.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with your TikTok and your other stuff. Oh, and your YouTube, because you have some exciting stuff going on there.
My brand new vlog is going live today. Yeah. So my channel is Sarah Poynton Ryan, I believe.
Yes.
My YouTube channel is Sarah Poynton Ryan. So please come and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there's a lot of work going into YouTube right now. And yeah, let me know what you guys think.
And you're now a vlogger, so...
I'm totally a vlogger. Look, I've even got my cool little vlogger tripod thing going on.
Yes.
Or camera coming in the post and everything. Ready for my trip next week.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you, and see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications on new episodes every Wednesday.